In fact, a lot of people say that's what you need to do an examiner. You don't need to keep talking because you're just going to dig yourself a hole. Well, I don't totally agree with that, because if you answer when an alternate is required, you're proving to me basically that you have rote memory of the FARs. Well, that's not very hard to do, right? That's the lowest level of understanding of any subject, is that rote memory. So you just memorized an FAR. Congratulations, you can read and memorize things. That didn't prove to me that you're a good pilot. So the way I would encourage you to answer a question like, when's an alternate required, is more in that kind of discussion format. And so I would answer back with some sort of scenario that they probably used to ask the question to begin with, but if they didn't, let's say they just asked the question, when's an alternate required, I would answer back with a scenario saying, well, it kind of depends on the situation a little bit personally. Legally, you can find this written in the FARs and maybe quote the FAR, that'd be good, or show that you have it pulled up and can reference it. So, the legal requirement and the way we help, memorize that's the 1, 2, 3 rule. Maybe talk about that for a second. But then go into the risk management side and say, well, sir, personally, I always like to file an alternate unless, my personal minimum, say if I've got a ceiling at or above 10,000 feet, greater than 5 statute miles, then I don't need an alternate. I'm going to go ahead and carry an extra hour's worth of fuel, though, just in case. Kind of maybe do some recon around, the airports within 50 miles of my destination just to make sure. But maybe go with the ins and outs of when I might need an alternate in addition to that 1, 2, 3 rule. So saying, well, part of my personal minimums is anytime that airport doesn't have weather reporting, that's also going to drive me to file an alternate, right? And one that commonly gets missed is anytime the airport I file to IFR, if they don't have an instrument approach that I'm capable of flying with the equipment on board the aircraft, then that's going to drive an alternate as well. And then I might throw in other, things there of, if they've got a NOTAM'd out AWOS system or ASOS system, or it's one of those ASOS systems that's grayed out on flight planning, so I'm missing my cylinder visibility, that would drive an alternate. Those are all examples. So I kind of answer it back in a discussion format. And I showed the examiner that I don't just have that rote memory of what the rules are, but I kind of incorporated some risk management decision making and showed them that I can act as a PIC in the regard of deciding when I need an alternate instead of just answering that question.